with your perspective with this work that you've done, that the brain is massively interconnected and interdependent. If we look at the role that these primitive reflexes play in the developmental hierarchy, and the fact that if these primitive reflexes are not abolished, the brain delays its development. Would you say, like, if we look at the Pareto principle, 80% of your output comes from 20% of your work, how much value can you derive from simply identifying retained primitive reflexes and then doing the work to abolish them, taking away that obstacle? Would you say that translates into 80% of your results, or is that just step one, but there's an awful lot of more work that needs to be done?
Yeah, the way I look at it, Steve, is more and more I realize that there's interrelationship, which is probably the two founding principles. One is what we call vertical integration, right? The idea of bottom-up development and then top-down integration, and that there's this progression which is led and started by these primitive reflexes, and then, they should go away and all of that. And then at the same time, there's a differentiation with the right brain developing in the first 3 years predominantly, and then the left brain developing in the next 3 years, so that we get this differentiation and the right and the left brain. And as they mature, they become more and more specialized and more different, and more demand to make sure that they are integrating. It becomes harder and harder to integrate them. And so those two things are intimately involved with one another. So for me, getting rid of the reflexes is foundational. If you don't get rid of the reflexes, we're never going to be able to fully integrate the brain. But if we don't fully integrate the brain or work to integrate the brain, we're never going to fully get rid of these reflexes. Those two things are intimately, and I think that's where I see some failures, meaning some people will come in and they've done years of primitive reflex work with other people, and the primitive reflexes are still there, and it's very frustrating for them at a strong level. Then I see other people that might have been going to people that were trying to do some brain integration, and they may have gotten some results, but they didn't get complete resolution of the issues or as much result as they thought. And it's because they didn't look at the primitive reflexes and they didn't deal with that. Both those things are intimately important. And then understanding the neuroimmune piece, understanding the autonomic nervous system, the balance of the sympathetic and parasympathetic, that is so critical. And all of those things are so intimately tied to one another that, that's the way I look at it. Those things have to go together.